I'm Coffee Kevin. I get a lot of mail asking how to optimize brewing using a Chemex. Well, the Chemex is one of the best coffee makers ever. And I can assure you, how you fold the Chemex filter helps create the perfect water flow through the grounds as you create the alchemy we call coffee brewing. In case you're new to the Chemex is unusual. It's got a charming, old-world slowness about it, making it a vital part of any K-Cup recovery program. It also has what's probably the thickest filter paper, so thick it's like cloth. Try as hard as you like. You can't get any sediment in your coffee. You can also make deliciously rich and complex brew that has its own viscosity minus the grounds particles. Two unique attributes worth mentioning. The Chemex uses a coarser than standard grind. The filter and the filter's smooth surface join forces to slow the flow. This slower, longer contact time between the hot water and the grounds necessitates using coarse grounds. Coarse grounds can take longer contact time without producing taste bitterness. The filter itself slows the coffee brewing. Grinding finer can slow the flow too much, resulting in over-extraction. Now, let's make coffee. I've pre-warmed this water to 200 degrees. Chemex makes two filter variations. A circular filter that I don't have with me today. You simply fold it once and that's it. The other is a square filter, this one, that requires a bit more folding, but I actually prefer it. I lay it flat onto a clean surface. Here we go. And then I fold it down on one side. Not quite, just above, just like this. You'll see why in a second. Okay. There we go. Now, when you place it in the glass Chemex, you'll notice. Now, what I really want you to notice right here, where this is called a runnel. And, all right, you notice it appears like the circular filter, but there's an important difference. This runnel is not just for pouring. It's an important escape path to maintain consistent flow through the filter. Even a minor narrowing of the runnel's chimney roll can slow the extraction and prolong the contact time. If you ever get a bitter or too strong Chemex, well, this is likely the reason. When you lay a properly folded filter in the Chemex, it will create an even thicker, more solid wall to ensure the runnel's structural integrity. Okay, let me do this first. I know that sometimes I do demos with the Chemex and I don't pre-wet the filter. I think it's largely unnecessary, but still, I definitely think it's a good idea in this case. Okay, let me pour the water out. I put a lot of water in here today, didn't I? Okay. All right, and then let me. Okay. All right, and then we have this ready here. The coffee I'm using today is from Mr. Espresso. It's a natural process Ethiopian Sidamo. When I first discovered Mr. Espresso, they were just roasting for espresso, their namesake. They use wood fire roasting, which imparts a deeper heat transfer. We should do a separate segment one day just about wood roasting. Meanwhile, lately, Mr. Espresso's been exploring single origins and roasts optimized for brewing drip methods. John DiRiocco is their roast master, and he is a brilliant independent thinker in the coffee business. I used 42 grams of ground roughly a notch coarser than my usual filter drip setting. Here we go. Let's throw this in there, and I just kind of shake it in. I don't do anything fancy about it other than just make sure that it's in there, and I guess I shake it down just a little bit, but nothing to get sniffly about. The Chemex is really a simple method. Now let's pour just enough to get the grounds wet. You could put this on a scale and weigh it and go put 100 grams of water in there or something like that. But it's, to be honest, I don't consider it vital. Just enough to cover all the grounds to get them wet. And then just let it sit for a minute. Usually a fresh coffee, and this is pretty fresh, a coffee within, let's say, 2 weeks of roasting, you will get a rise and a fall. It'll foam up, just like pouring a 7-Up in a glass or a beer. I always like to be fair to beverages. Okay, we just poured enough to get it wet, and I suggest you play around a bit with water temperature. Don't think it's so much learning the right temperature as learning what a given temperature does to bring forth tastes you like. The industry standards of 196 to 205 are wide-ranging. It's 9 degrees. For this coffee, I've hunted around and think I like it brewed bolder. So I actually heated the water to about 207. Believe me, it will still be well within the approved temperature range once it hits the grounds, and that's the temperature we're interested in. By the way, Coffee Con is, let me put some water in here first, so we're not using it there. Okay, we got it almost up at the lip. You don't have to get it too high, but just, that's a good way, way to brew is just fill it up after the first one. Okay, Coffee Con is being moved to Saturday, March 6th. The COVID restrictions in our Bay Area location are quite strict. A presenter contacted us to see if we felt we were still in compliance. Well, I just felt we should err on caution for our presenters, hosts, and crew. Those of you who are ordering tasting kits to accompany your participation with Ken David's tasting class, so that you can enjoy, really tasting and cupping and analyzing the same identical coffees prepared the same way, well, you have more time to order your kits. Okay. Note, we've got time for some more water, so this doesn't take all that long. Okay, because I've used a coarser grind. Okay. All right. There we go. And this runnel is completely clear, as you can see. Okay. I'm going to stop the brewing right at this bump. There's a bump in the Chemex, and whether it means it's half the Chemex or not, I don't know if, let me see if I can get this so that it's, there we go. Yeah, I think I can do that right there. You can see it on the side there. Can you see it on the side? Well, you probably can. That is, I'm just going to call it a half, whatever it is, 40 grams, 42 grams to that mark works out pretty well for me. This gives me 4 5-ounce cups, and they're just a bit stronger tasting than usual. And I sure like them, as we have several guests who sample them over the years, maybe more than several. This carefully selected in coffee stands up to the strength increase quite well, I can assure you. All right, looks like I've got enough for one more pour. And it should be right there, or maybe even a little bit above. That's okay too. Not all coffees can handle being brewed stronger. That's a difference too, and it isn't just by variety. It may have a number of factors. It could be the variety, the processing, that particular coffee, and how it's roasted, and of course, in addition to the other brewing parameters. So that's why, it's worth putting a little time into understanding coffee brewing, because unlike, you can go out and buy a fantastic beer, you can buy a fantastic bottle of wine, and you need to know about how to remove the cork properly and maybe what serving temperature, but coffee is so much more for us to learn. Okay, we're there. I think we're at a point where we can make a test. There we go. And let me pour this into another vessel. And I did that perfectly. It also warmed the cup up. So I'm with John McCourtney here today, and Mac and I have been drinking coffee together for years. And here we go. All right, there's perfect. I have a little table next to me so that I can put all these things and then get them out of the way visually. And here's his cup, and this is my cup. And I will take a sip. Someone said I forgot to take a sip of coffee the other day. I didn't forget, I just didn't do it on camera. But they said, you should take a sip on camera. It seemed like maybe you didn't like the coffee. I love the coffee. I just decided not to put you through it waiting for me. Here we go. Wow, it's a natural process. And that is what a great sample of that. Not all our natural process, and it's just a significant taste difference. We'll have to do a show on natural process soon too as well. I want to wish you a great holiday, and Christmas is coming up this week, and we'd love to wish you a Merry Christmas. And I'd like to thank Creeby Coffee for sponsoring today's show. Okay, we'll see you soon. And by the way, speaking of CoffeeCon, be sure to share our information. That's one thing I would ask you to do. Just share. I hope you can attend. This is my gift to the world for putting up with COVID, as we all have. We can be generous this time. We're doing an experiment. We want to see how much of our event we can make really work on the internet. We've done a lot of exploration into various. We've got 4 cameras and 3 different locations. We've got the very top presenters, that each of whom I personally learned from, and I just think it's a great opportunity. We're even in the cupping. We're even duplicating so that you could literally, if you post a comment or a question about that coffee, you can know that Ken Davids is having the same. If you've both followed the same instructions, you're both tasting coffee that's virtually identical. The closest we can come to having Ken Davids in your kitchen with you. And that is what we're trying to do with this. But please let people know about it, because the one thing we don't have a whole lot of money to spend on getting the word out. And I've mentioned this before. This always happens at the end of every CoffeeCon. There will at least be one tweet that I'll observe that comes in and says, "OMG, CoffeeCon happened and I missed it. How could my life's ended?" or something. I understand they're being, I hope, humorously hysterical, but I want everyone to know about it. So please let them know. And March 6th, it's a Saturday. It should be really enjoyable. And by the way, we'll be up once it's up. We're leaving it up for a while, so it's possible to come in and even to interact, in a forum sense, leave comments, etc. But you can actually interact with all the presenters who are all live for CoffeeCon. So that is something you can only do on March 6th. I'm really looking forward to it. Anyway, again, have a great holiday. I'll see you soon. I'm Coffee Kevin.